Love this one. Okay, so a well-organized, well-thought-out weekly schedule and time management skills are the skills that tie everything together. A student athlete could have the best practices, the best trainers, the best recovery strategies, the best nutrition, the best confidence, etc. But what we've seen is if the student athlete doesn't have an organized, sustainable week-to-week life, they will very likely be stressed and overwhelmed. A well thought out weekly schedule is flexible, comprising all the pieces that will move the student athlete toward their desired outcome and toward their goals. And so some pieces of a well thought out weekly schedule, or like a weekly system, that's what we like to call it also, will include school time, homework, study time, sports practices, and games. So the things that your child, your athlete is currently doing each week. Then also extra at home practices, their athletic recovery time, their social time, their self-care time. We layer that in. And then eventually things like time for, in the context of ID camps, clinics, having an outstanding performance, which ties into the recruiting process and the college process, researching colleges, creating and updating their highlight video, creating and updating their player resume, emailing college coaches before tournaments, before ID camps and clinics, SAT and ACT prep, college applications, and more. So these kids are busy. The athletes we work with are busy kids. They're high performers. They have huge goals. They have high standards for themselves. And so without a weekly organized system for having it all organized for themselves, we see they often come to us and they're very stressed, they're very overwhelmed, but this is totally avoidable.
And here's an example of a weekly schedule or system, we call it. And this is we recommend student athletes use Google Calendar, begin to get into the groove of using Google Calendar. And as you can see, this is we've spent time really thinking through this calendar. This is a student athlete who has a high level goal for their soccer. And yeah, they've got their extra practices. You can see they're using they're working on their left foot every Tuesday and Thursday. They've got time for family, time for friends. They've got plenty of time for homework. They've got time for their meeting with me. And they've got things scheduled in. They've got their game day meals, which we recommend, and snacks for recovery. They've got some recovery and analysis time after their games. And so this is what an example of what we're talking about here is. So final rating.